Yeah, 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 yeah. Step into the bayou where the chatter gets wild. Truth served fresh with a wink and a smile. From gators to gumbo, it's a party. Let's sing. Welcome to the show. It's Bada Bing. We got flavors of the South with a 90s vibe. Stories roll deep and the beats arrive. Grab a seat, feel the heat, let the good times flow. It's the Bayou Jammin', ready, set, go. Bada Bing, Bayou. The stories unfold where the swamp's alive and the truth is bold. Tune in, lean in, the vibe's so dope. Bayou beats in your ear, we the crew you'll quote.
Ciao, y'all.
Hello.
We are coming to you live from Venezia's on North Carrollton and New Orleans.
That's right.
We had an eventful day today, and this episode is going to be a little bit different than what you see. Obviously, we're not in our normal studio. We just met with
The Honorable Judge Anthony Russo,
the one and only.
the one and only, who in 1970 founded the Italian American Marching Club, now known as the Italian American St. Joseph Society.
You're really going to enjoy this episode. Tune in.
Ciao a tutti.
Or as we say in Louisiana, hey y'all.
My name is Patrick Ross Campisi,
And I'm Lawrence Joseph Ingraffia.
and you're listening to.
The Bada Bing Bayou podcast.
So, Lawrence, we're in a different setting today.
We're in a very different setting today. We're in a great setting. We are joined by the one and only Judge Russo.
One and only.
That's what they tell me.
Yeah.
And so thank you for having us here,
thank you.
Judge.
Well, glad you guys could make it.
Of course.
Oh, yes. It's an honor. And Judge, if before we begin, if I could just ask you, just very briefly, and we're going to talk about your background, but is there anything that you have identified with growing up as an Italian American and how that helped shape your legal career?
Well, how I happened to fall into my legal career is really based on my heritage. It's based on the makeup of an Italian mama. Okay, the Italian mama is the focal point and the strong point of Italian families. A lot of people say, well, the father. Nah, it's the mother. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, I just as soon go to work with my daddy's automobile business at the time, but my mother would have nothing of that. She says, no, you're going to college. I said, all right, Mom, I'll go to college. What do you want me to take? She said, well, hesitated for a while. She says, we don't have any dentists. I said, all right, I'll be a dentist. So I started Loyola in pre-med and pre-dent, and I went my first year there, made out pretty good, considering I came from Nichols High School in Ninth Ward. I did a lot better than a lot of Jesuit guys, all right? And so in the summer, she says, all right, what are you going to do this summer? I said, I'm going to go try to work at my dad's car place. She said, no, I don't want you to hang around there. She says, I'm going to call cousin Carlo, who's a dentist. Says, go study with him, sit in his office for a few hours a day and really get some experience, be an intern, okay? So the first day I go there and cousin Carlo sits me down at a table. And it's a little dark room, terrible looking little room. And in front of me, he gets a jar of extracted teeth. Oh. And he pours them out in front of me. And the odor of those extracted teeth was something else.
Yeah, I can imagine. I could believe
So he says, I want you, with this chart, match up the tooth, the extracted tooth here to the one in the chart. So all day long, I'm fooling around with these decayed, stinky, extracted teeth. So I go home that evening, My mama said, how'd you make out by Carlos? I said, Ma, I don't want to be a dentist. So I've had it. I said, what else you want me to be? She says, how's about a lawyer? I said, okay.
That's about it.
That's how
That's
I'm
how it
going to be a
happened.
lawyer.
Wow.
No, no brain science there.
Yeah.
Just an Italian mama, right?
That's right.
Right.
Wow. Different trajectory altogether.
Right, right. Couldn't handle those teeth,
That's all
man.
the teeth.
No, absolutely not.
Wow. So with your, we were talking a little bit earlier, but if you could give like a little bit of background as to how your family got here, where y'all come from, and your upbringing, you said the Ninth Ward, but what got y'all to that point?
Okay, well, my grandfather, on both sides, my father's father and my mother's father both immigrated in the big flood between in 1905 to the United States. Both of them came over from Sicily. My father's father came from a little town called Partenico. And my mother's father came from a little town called Chinnesy. Both of them were about 20 miles from Palermo in that section. And my grandfather on my father's side, when he came over, the first thing that he did, the first job he had was unloading bananas on the wharf in the river. They landed at the river, Mississippi River, right adjacent to Little Palermo, which was the name for the French Quarter at that time, because everybody that came over from Sicily settled in the French Quarter. It was Little Palermo. My grandfather on my mother's side was settled right on the verge of the quarter on Rampart Street. But the irony of it is both of my grandmothers were born and raised in New Orleans, in the United States. And so that's my Sicilian heritage. I still have quite a few relatives in Partenico, in Sicily, that I visit quite often.
Do you keep in contact with them as well?
Oh, yes. And they come to New Orleans.
Oh, really?
And stay with me, and we keep quite close. Matter of fact, I'm expecting a cousin of mine to come in the next few weeks here.
Okay.
So we're close.
So obviously you've had a very decorated legal career as an attorney and as a judge. But one of the ways that we come to know you is through the Italian American St. Joseph Society. But it was the marching club when it first came to be. Is that correct?
Yeah. And let me tell you a little something about that if you have time.
Oh, I think we got a
Yeah.
little time.
All the time in the world.
Right. I had a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, played football with him in high school, and a guy by the name of Joe Cardina.
Okay.
All right. And Joe Cardina and another good friend of mine, Jimmy LaCava, went to see the Irish Channel St. Patrick Parade in the Irish Channel of the city of New Orleans. And they came after the parade, they came over, I see him pull up, Tony, we got to talk to you. I said, what do you got? He says, we just came from the Irish parade. And I said, what are you doing going to Irish? Anyway, they said they went there. And he said, and we're shocked, man, we're shocked, and we got to do something. I said, what are you talking about? He says, well, after the Irish parade was over, they had 3 pickup trucks, old raggedy pickup trucks, in the back. That was and they had Italian flags taped on the doors. And in back the pickup trucks were 3 or 4 guys throwing bananas. So I'm talking about the banana thing, all right? And he says it was a disgrace. The Irish put on a big parade, and when they came to the Italian contingent, there was 3 raggedy pickup trucks with guys throwing bananas.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
And this was in 1970. And he said, we should get to organize, why don't we organize a parade? I said, let's do it. Now, Joe and Jimmy knew a lot of people in New Orleans, but they wanted me to organize it because I had a little bit more organizational experience. And so we start making phone calls to every Italian American we knew, who incidentally, in New Orleans, Italian Americans are almost all Sicilians. All right.
Yes, sir.
Bingo.
It's hard to be an Italian in New Orleans without being from Sicily. So you're really Sicilians. And if not, you might just want to play like you're Sicilian.
That's right.
Exactly.
So we called a lot of people, all our friends, and we did an organizational meeting, and we saw that the interest was there. This was in 1970, and at that time they were doing things with the Godfather movie was coming out, and they were filming it or something. It was the big talk, and then everybody wanted to be Italian.
At that time.
Judge, why do you think everybody wanted to be Italian with the success of The Godfather?
I think everybody, and to be honest with you, they might not love Italians, but I think they respect Italians. And I think, to a certain extent, fear them a little bit. You know?
Especially after movies like The
Yeah,
Godfather.
right.
Yeah, and the Lord Godfather didn't do anything to quiet that feeling.
Exactly.
No, right.
And so it was just a popular thing, and everybody wanted to show off their Italian American heritage.
Right.
And again, I use the word Italian American as opposed to Sicilian. It's a Sicilian, right? What's that? And we so our first parade, we said, all right, we're gonna have our first parade, and we'll parade behind the Irish in the Irish Channel parade for our first year in the Irish Channel, because they had the permits, they had the know-how and so forth, and the parade was such a success. That first parade, our first parade, we maybe had about 200 or 300 people, okay, that we got in 1 year's time. And we had a good friend of ours. His name was Father V. Liberto, who was the pastor of St. Mary's Italian Church on Charter Street in New Orleans. And he says, Tony, he talks something like me.
He's a
Says,
paisan.
Tony, you guys belong in a quarter. You don't belong in the Irish Channel. I said, Father, you're right. And we moved our parade and our headquarters and everything to St. Mary's Italian Church in the quarter, which had a big playground area and had a gym. And so we moved there for our second parade, and maybe for the next 5 or 6 parades we had there. And we've been in the quarter ever since. And you can call it the French Quarter, but the French left there a long time ago. There haven't been a Frenchman around there in years. All right?
You heard it here first.
So that was our story, and we've reached heights in membership, all the way to 27. We had 2,700, 2,800 members. It was just amazing how everybody, and we had to screen them because everybody wanted to be Italian.
Yeah.
And we wanted to keep it a sort of a close group, a group with feelings.
Of course. 2,700 people is kind of hard to do that.
Yeah, but you know, we were actually pulling people from all around the state.
Okay.
Because word spread, and we had in Ponchatoula and Hammond, you know, a lot of Sicilians, and so we gave them a facility to express pride in our heritage.
Exactly.
And pride in our heritage was our motto. All right, and it was on all of the balloons and on our flag and everything else, because it wasn't always a happy thing to be Italian, especially in New Orleans.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. You were Dago until you could fight your way out of it.
Wow.
And you really had to do that. If you didn't fight your way out of it, they keep on calling you Dago.
Exactly.
At some point, you got to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, if not you, then
And
who?
they eventually they quit calling you Dago anymore. You know, when you make your feelings known a little bit, that you're not
Exactly.
going to just stand there and say, "Oh, I'm a Dago." Yeah.
Yeah. But even today, that word still flies around. Not as prominent as it was
You know
back
what?
in the day.
It flies around, but not to your face. You see, that's the story.
Yeah.
It flies around and by certain people, but nobody's going to come up in my face and call me a Dago.
They better not, at least.
and they never did. It's just not going to happen.
Exactly.
So that was, and we grew over the years.
With that 2,700, was that predominantly Louisiana Italians, or y'all had people from out of state coming in?
Well, we had them from out of state too. But actually now, over the last, maybe the last 10 years, we started getting more and more from out of state. You know, a lot from New York. All right, a lot of members from New York and come from California.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Interesting.
New Jersey. You know, but we have 'em from all over. You know, St. Joseph Day, St. Joseph, patron saint of Sicily, right? St. Joseph Day is a Sicilian. It's a Sicilian holiday.
Exactly.
And it just, the holiday itself was always celebrated in New Orleans. I can remember being a small kid and you celebrated St. Joseph Day. But the way you celebrated St. Joseph Day at that time was to go from house to house to visit the altars,
Right.
the St. Joseph altars. And you'd go visit there, and then wherever to this one, then you go to another one, you know. But it was always behind doors.
Yeah,
the
you could be public
celebration.
out with it.
This is the first opportunity that the Italian Americans got to bring our pride and our heritage outside in your face and go down the street and go through the quarter.
Yeah.
Everything red, white, and green. You know, this was our town, and it came from behind doors to flatten your face. You know?
Oh yeah.
Very quickly.
And it just got it just clicked. It just clicked. So it did. If there was anything that our organization, the Italian American Marching Club, now known as the Italian American Civic Affairs, Italian American St. Joseph Society. I'll tell you why we changed the name to St. Joseph
Yes,
Society
sir.
in a minute. But it just exploded, and what we had to do in order to make the Italian American Marching Club a 501c organization that we could use for fundraising.
Yes, sir.
We had to use the word society.
Oh, okay.
So we just made it Italian American St. Joseph Society.
Okay.
Same organization.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Same organization. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Well, Judge, that brings up an interesting point, talking about the name change and the first parade, the inspiration for the organization itself. So how has the organization grown and evolved since its inception in 1970?
Well, we had at one time a whole fleet, 11 as a matter of fact, 1965, 66 Mustang convertibles, which now are recognized as classic cars and cost a fortune. All right?
Yeah, thousands of dollars.
At that time, I was able to acquire them just as an old convertible, and we paid $300 or $400 for them. And we rebuilt them, painted them red, white, and green. We used them to pull the floats. We were able to build our own floats to use in the quarter. We were self-sufficient. All right, we were really a healthy organization with a couple of thousand members, with owning all our equipment. And then in 1987, as faith would have you, probably some Irish guy somewhere.
Might have been. They were jealous.
I mean, yeah,
right.
a rivalry as old as time itself.
Our den burned down, and everything in it burned, and we sort of had to start over again. And we never did equal that pinnacle that we had at that point, though. You know.
Do you think the people are still there? Like, as far as people who are eager to be a part of this, to express their identity that way?
Well, you know, at that time, that's almost 50, well, it's 50-something years ago, we had membership of mostly first, second, and third generation Italian Americans, okay? And it was a lot easier to get participation at that time, because it was still red, white, and green here, red, white, and blue here.
Yeah,
all
right.
But now we are in the times when we're talking about fifth and sixth and seventh generation Italians. And although they still have pride in our heritage, it's not in the blood.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, big difference. All right, these guys, when we started off this organization, you know, a lot of them couldn't speak English, did we? And this was a way for them to really, really get with more Italian Americans and bocce ball and everything else. As a matter of fact, every Italian American club in the greater New Orleans area is derived from our organization. Everyone, with the exception of the Culture Society, Italian American Culture Society in New Orleans, which is a spinoff of an Italian American carnival organization that was in New Orleans. So an organization by by the name of the Virgilians. When that closed down, they formed the Italian American Culture Society.
Okay.
Then we came along, but just about everyone in all the surrounding areas, St. Bernard, Jefferson, across the river, and Algiers and everything, they're all spin-offs from our organization, which is a good thing.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that it's certainly a good thing when you can inspire other people to
Right.
do something that is a positive for the community.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and kid you not, I grew up, and I knew I was Italian because I was reminded of it many, many times. But you never really got into the ethnic thing at that time because you were always worried that you were going to embarrass somebody or say something that you couldn't say. But after we started and after it started being, we got this pride in our heritage, that's when I think everybody who were closet Italians came out of the closet and said, hey,
Right.
I'm Italian and proud of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We talked about that a lot, that the St. Joseph Society and organizations like that give people a way to actually show their Italian heritage.
It's a platform.
Yeah.
You know? And, Judge, speaking a lot about pride in your culture and pride in your community, as the founder of this wonderful organization, what would you say, if not maybe your proudest moment or some of your proudest moments with the organization?
Well, I think my personally biggest achievement with the organization and through the vehicle of the organization was the creation of the monument to the immigrant down by the river in Waldenberg Park. The monument is on the riverfront, maybe about 50 feet from where the actual boats landed with the immigrants as they came to the port of New Orleans during the flood of immigrants from Sicily. You know, the immigrants in New Orleans didn't come via Ellis Island.
Yeah.
Right.
They came up the Mississippi River and never touched Ellis Island. One day I was thinking, I said, they got monuments to battles, they got monuments to war heroes, they got monuments to wars, they got monuments to heroes, but where is the monument to the people that made it all possible? Where is the monument to the immigrant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were none. There are none. And I said, we should build a monument to the immigrant. And we talked it over with the Italian club. Everybody agreed that this is what we'll sponsor. And it was a monumental undertaking. We retained the services of a good friend of ours by the name of, what's his name?
Franco Alessandrini.
Yeah, Alessandrino.
Yes, sir.
Franco Alessandrino, and he is a very, very talented artist. And his hometown is in Carrara, Italy, home of Carrara marble.
It's beautiful marble.
It's
my business
beautiful
card
marble,
holder.
right? And he owned a quarry in Carrara, and that's where we commissioned him to create this monument. And he designed it, and he and the fellow sculptors worked almost 2 years
Wow.
on doing this job, and they created an immigrant family with the bow of a ship on one side, with Miss Liberty on the other side, holding out a star of freedom facing the river. And again, that monument is a few feet away from where the boats actually landed. And it's a monument that has been copied several times in different areas. But it is also one of the most popular attractions in Waldenberg Park.
Definitely so.
Although they have a statue of Mr. Waldenberg there, but
Well, I've never seen it.
a few people will
Pass
see
me
it.
by.
Nobody's looking at that one.
No, right. Oh, he's a nice guy, though.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Very generous.
Of course.
So, but I'd have to say that getting that going and doing that, bringing that monument from Carrara, Italy, to New Orleans, erecting it in an area that thousands of people pass each day, was probably my biggest accomplishment. And I did it through the Italian American Marching Club, fortunately.
Absolutely. So, Judge, through your work with the Italian American St. Joseph Society, and then before that with the Marching Club, with the monument to the immigrant, if I could just ask you a personal question, what does St. Joseph mean to you personally?
St. Joseph is a guy that everybody loves. There is no negative about St. Joseph. He was a very peaceful fellow, very inspirational, very understanding, very dedicated. And he's a fellow that you could always say will always be there. And that's my personal take with St. Joseph. All other saints are fine.
Right.
Of course.
I'm named Anthony after St. Anthony.
Of course.
It's good if you lose something. You go to St. Anthony.
I pray to him all the time.
Aside from that, well, no, he don't lead parades or anything.
Yeah,
right?
I don't see any at least.
No.
But that's my feeling about St. Joseph. But and again, he means something to me too, because he is the patron saint of Sicily,
Right.
and it's. Matter of fact, we are here in New Orleans. We are more dedicated to St. Joseph than they are in Sicily, than the people
Really?
in Sicily. Right.
I'm kind of shocked to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you. They just, you see, they don't celebrate St. Joseph Day like we celebrate it down here. They don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Ireland. And when I go to Sicily, occasionally I'll get into conversations about the fiber bean. They have no idea what I'm talking about.
Really? In Sicily?
I said, well, fiber bean. You know, wow, what's a fiber? And I tell them the story, about the drought and the starvation, and that the prayers of St. Joseph and the dedication, if you end this drought, we'll dedicate an altar to you, and all, and then the fiber bean said, and they said, oh, you like fiber? I said, yeah, fiber. It's just a lucky bean. They said, why you call it a lucky bean? I said, because it brought luck to Sicily, and it started raining, and the only thing that would grow would be the fiber bean. And that saved the famine.
Exactly.
Right? As a matter of fact, we're a little closer here. I got to.
Oh,
he's
wow.
got a gold fiber.
Oh, I
I've never
love
seen a
that.
gold fava bean.
Oh, that's
fava bean.
Lawrence, you got to get one now.
Oh my god! I gotta get. I mean, I got my 2 fava beans right now in my pocket. But,
You'll
but
have
I
to
don't
get
have
that.
a
Get
gold
it
fava
made, I
bean.
think.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my home.
The cornicelli, we all.
And my scapular medal. That's
Absolutely.
got 'em covered all
That's all,
over.
you,
right,
all
right.
three
No
areas.
one is zapping the judge. Nobody.
Right. Got it. But, we talk and we come up, when I go to Sicily, and this is strange, or maybe not so strange, but when I go to Sicily, a lot of the Italian that I know, they call it antica.
The old Italian.
Because the Sicilian that I know is from my grandparents, and they spoke a language that was spoken at the turn of the century,
Exactly.
right? So they're using words that are no longer used. You know, I try to like St. Joseph altars. They don't know what a St. Joseph altar is because they don't have St. Joseph
Yeah.
altars over there.
Yeah.
You know, they have
We
them
brought it here.
Yeah,
well,
right.
as a matter of fact, they don't have a St. Joseph altars. A lot of places most places in the United States, it's a New Orleans thing. It's a Sicilian thing.
Exactly.
Very much so.
If you're not Sicilian, you don't do the St. Joseph altar. At least you don't do a good St.
Yeah,
Joseph.
Yeah, that's right.
Might
There's a
do-
way to do it.
Might
Yeah.
do a Mickey Mouse one, but you're
Yeah.
not going to do it. But that's so strange because I'm trying to learn from these people, my people over in Puerto Rico or Genesee, and I know more than they know. You know.
But do you think, I guess it's from like the turn of the century, our ancestors came over with the old traditions, but now those traditions have died out over there, but that's what
Right,
we
they
have.
died out over there, but they're the only traditions that we know
Exactly.
here.
Right.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
I tell them about the five, and they look at it, and I say, yeah, five, it's got to be lucky. I'm like, why you look? He says, so, but,
Yeah.
I don't know, did I answer your question?
That was more than
That
sufficient.
was wonderful.
But on that same note, Judge, why do you think it is so important for the younger generations to keep these traditions alive?
Well, what do we have to be unique, right? We got 2 arms, 2 legs, a head. That's not unique with anything. You got to go deep inside to get the uniqueness. And the uniqueness is the blood, the feeling. And when you guys go to the pasta party,
Yeah.
you feel Italian. Why you feel Italian? And you feel a closeness to everybody that's around you.
Yes.
You know, this is family. They're total strangers to you, but you feel, hey, these are my people.
Right.
You know, these are family.
Yeah.
So it's a heritage. It's heritage, all right? And I admire anybody that pursues their heritage, even Irish. You know, if I were Irish, I'd be a serious Irishman, all
Well,
right?
of course.
But you were born Italian.
Right. Or if I was French, I'd be a serious Frenchman. Or German, I'd be a serious German, all right?
Right.
But I'm Sicilian. I'm a serious Sicilian. So it's something that you enjoy, something that you feel, and something with you, whether you want or not. It's there, right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
So on that note, Judge, on one final note, if I could, all this talk about, the traditions and your heritage, what advice would you give to the younger generation about honoring their heritage?
Well, like I just said, though, it's your heritage is unique to you. All right? And if you honor it, you're just keeping it unique to you, and you're doing honor by it. You're not embarrassing it. You're not making it something that you are ashamed to be. And again, that's the reason why we have as our motto with the Italian American Marching Club, pride in our heritage. That's the heritage. That's it.
Right.
You know.
Wonderful. Well, everybody, this has been the Bada Bing Bayou podcast. My name is Patrick Ross Campisi.
And I'm Lawrence Joseph Ingraffia.
Ciao for now.
Y'all come back now. And thank you, Judge Russo.
Thank you, Judge Russo.
You're
It was an honor.
Pleasure.
Of course.
Yes, sir.
Ciao.